Right, so what you'll need is your source material, which is the electricity book itself. You've got 14 lessons to actually look through. So what we're going to do is condense all of that information down onto one sheet of A3 paper. And this method can be used for any of the modules, again, any of your other subject areas as well. So by the end of year 11, if you're doing triple, you will have 8 sheets of A3 paper that will have everything, all the information you need on that paper. Okay, so what we actually need, your source material, you need a blank piece of paper. A3 would be ideal, if not A4, add those, stick 2 pieces together if you need to. Lots of colored pens would be very useful because this is about making this pictorial as much as anything else. You need color because what you actually need is the thing to stand out to you. So this is what we've got from the YouTube one. I'm going to do a slightly different version of this here, but the idea of using color is basically makes the different areas stand out, using diagrams as much as possible as well to make the different things that stand out. And the whole point of this is it has to be for you. You're doing this for you only. So your mind map will look completely different perhaps than somebody else's mind map. Okay, the idea is they're not the same. So you start off, you write your topic area, electricity, in the center. Now I'm going to do this a little bit faster than I would do normally, so it won't be that neat, but I expect when you do your own versions, take the time to do it properly, and it comes out very neatly. So the areas, you break down what you actually look at the topic areas, that is each of the lesson contents. If you have the CGP revision guide, which some of you may have, you can do something like that or other source material. So we've got circuit symbols, electric charge, series and parallel, resistance, resistors, series and parallel again, so that's the double one. Okay, so you don't need to put that twice. Domestic uses, power, energy transfers, the national grid, and so on. Okay, so I've broken it down into smaller areas than that, so such as circuit symbols. So start off, I'm going to look at circuit symbols. So that is the first lesson. Now for this one, you need to know 15 circuit symbols. You may well know quite a lot of these already. Okay, these are the circuit symbols that you need to know. The ones that you actually look at most often are thermistor, variable resistor, LDR, LED. Those are the ones that most often asked along with the fuse. All these ones you probably know quite well. Okay, so really you're only going to write down the actual circuit symbols that you don't really know yourself. So the most common ones, LDR, which is, again, I'm not doing this particularly neatly, so you do it yourself a little bit neater. So that's the circuit symbol for LDR, LED, light emitting diode. Okay, 2 arrows going out. Thermistor is, I like to think of this one as a hockey stick lying against something, because it just happens to be easy for me to remember. Variable resistor is this one. Don't forget the lines either side. Again, you do it slightly neater. Variable resistor. And we have, what else would we have that's in there? A fuse is a common one as well, so do a fuse. So those are probably the most common ones that you don't know. If you don't know connecting wire, do a connecting wire. Okay, just pick out the ones you know. Okay, remember, this is a revision technique that you're trying to identify also what you don't know. So that's your circuit symbol straight away. You can add a bit of color to it, you can color them in, do what you want with them. Okay, do something that makes them stick out to you if necessary, something like that. It doesn't matter. Again, it's whatever's individual to you. But the key thing is you need to know those circuit symbols. Okay, next thing on there, if you look at your book, was basically a bit about a series circuit, okay, and current in series. So what is a series circuit? Again, keep a common link, which is your joins, and the next step up is keep that area common as well. Now go on to a different thing. Now, use diagrams, use pictures for these things. Okay, I'll underestimate somebody. So again, it is up to you to actually make this independent for yourself. So series circuit is what actually is a series circuit. Draw a series circuit. So it could be with resistors like this. Series circuit is one possible route through the actual circuit. And again, you will, where do I get my information from? Check. Okay, so the appendices, so on, everything else is in that. You use this as your source material and work your way through those. Okay, so you got your information there in your series and parallel circuit. The idea is you're distilling this information down into as small as possible. That's a series circuit. What is the series circuit rules? Okay, current goes through each component. Again, make it stand out. Current goes through each component. That's a series circuit. There's only one, or you could write it down as, however you want to understand it, only one possible path. So you could do it just by doing arrows. You don't need to do the writing, just the arrows will be enough to indicate the current just goes through one possible component. Parallel circuit. What's a parallel circuit? Draw a parallel circuit where you've now got a branch. So do something like this one. Okay, and again, you could do it to show that the current splits. How do we highlight that it splits? Well, do something else. Do a different color that it splits there like this. And then highlight the bit that where it actually splits. So here, current splits. Again, this is slightly different than the version I done on the YouTube bit, okay? But again, this is just showing how you individualize it. You're not doing a copy of this. How that makes sense to you, you can say the current goes down two paths, the current splits, whatever you have to do, whatever that actually makes sense to you, okay? Right, what we need then, if you look through your material, is the rules for circuits. Okay, so you need to know the rules for the series circuit. You need to know the rules for the parallel circuit. Okay, so if I got my rules for series first, what I've got is that the current is the same at all points in the series circuit. Keep it pretty minimal. Current the same. Okay, that's all I need. I don't need to write it's the same for every part in the circuit because current the same. That's all the idea. That's all the reminder I need. Okay, what else do I need to know about the current in the series circuit or series circuit? The potential difference or the voltage, if you want to write down voltage, potential difference is shared. So what happens is the potential difference, if that is a 12-volt supply there, well, then we get 6 volts across that resistor and you get 6 volts across that one. Again, you could actually draw this out as a diagram. You could actually show that the 12, here's another way of doing it. You can, just an example of how you could put this into a picture. Okay, so there is 12 is shared. So what's happened? That 12, you could do something like this. This might help you visualize into 6. See, that's split into 2, 6 and 6. So the potential difference is shared or split between them, okay? You could do something like for current in the series circuit. So you could have your ammeter. Your ammeter is the same every place. Draw something like this. That indicates this is the same A, okay? So it doesn't have to be in the format of something written out in words. It could be a diagram. Whatever actually is something you think would make sense to you. Okay, so basically, in other words, something that you recall for yourself. Okay, and that's how you build up your mind map. So individualize it, that's the key thing. Use lots of coloring. Okay, it has to stand visually, it has to make an impact for you. So that is actually the first 3 lessons there, everything, all the key information. Okay, you got your equation in there as well. I've got the units in there. Now that makes sense to me. But then again, I know a lot of this stuff, so you might want to do something a bit more with diagrams and pictures that stand out. Whatever it has to be something for you. It's for your memory work only, okay? So it has to work for you, okay? Does that make sense to everybody so far? If we just type in the chat, we're actually for following this. If we've got any questions, okay? That's nice. That's it. Yes, it's P2 electricity you're using. So this book, Okay, so your P2 electricity book, as I showed you, it's on the network if you, on the network if you haven't got your own book, okay? Right, how do we actually use this? So that's the first start of the process, is actually converting this information into that. So this is the first 2 lessons there, actually, almost the first, some of the first and the third lesson as well. So I've taken all of the information. So that's the information, your series and parallel circuit rules in there. I've got your different circuits there. There's the appendice work. You've got your circuit symbols, which is distilled down. That's all you actually need to know. So that's the first lesson. And then the second lesson, you've got basically the idea of the equation. That's really all that's in this second lesson. Q equals IT, the equation for charge. So all that information is on there. So rather than having 6 pages of actually work to revise, you've now got this. So what am I going to do with that? Right, that puts some of it into your brain by the simple fact that you've had to condense it down. That means you've actually got to think about it. That process actually establishes that firmer in your long-term memory. Then what you do, how are you going to use this to revise? Okay, you're not reading material at all. Okay, I can just realize you can see through this. But you basically get another sheet on top. You start off again, electricity. How do I actually use this? So, right, so the first topic, what was it? You can use your contents page to look at what's the first thing. Right, circuit symbols. Okay, so what do I know about circuit symbols? Okay, start drawing out the circuit symbols that you think you remember. Okay, I can remember, yeah, that one's a diode. That one is the fuse. Oh, can't remember the other one. You have this underneath. You turn back, think, right, yeah, I've actually only got 2 of those, right? So look at it again. That means I've actually spent time refreshing my brain by looking back and thinking, actually, yeah, it's the LDR I've got wrong there, the variable resistor. Or you could have done something like this and think, yeah, that's the variable resistor, and realize when you look back, actually, no, that's not the variable resistor. Because what I've done is I've not put the arrow on it. You could correct it in a different color pen, for example, to see your corrections. So do your first draft and then do your corrections for the other things. So, oh yeah, I didn't actually realize that the thermistor was there. So that's my thermistor, okay? And do it like that. And then as you look back, see, right, this is the bits I've got, this is the bits I haven't got. So that establishes in your long-term memory by actually doing that. You have that underneath or have it to the side. Try to reproduce it. How much can you reproduce? Okay, the next revision session that you do. Okay, and then that establishes this longer in your long-term memory. Second thing or third thing, okay, so the first thing is building it up. Second thing is trying to reproduce it from a blank sheet of paper. Third thing, we've all got connections like this, so you can need somebody else to do this. And this one works best if you've used diagrams, a bit like dual coding. You'll have one person will have this in front of them and say, right, the other person will go, right, what were the rules for circuits? Okay, you could have had a diagram in front of you like this. Okay, so what does that diagram mean? So I could have done it so that you're only seeing this bit here. Okay, you covered up the rest. What does that actually mean to me? Oh, actually, that was the current splits. It was 12. That was the current, and that splits into 2. No, it wasn't. That was this potential difference, and it splits into 2. Okay, see, you don't get right straight away. Current, yeah, these were under the current. So that remembers, for me, that's the current, the same age. That's the current is the same in the series circuit. So therefore, you talk to each other and try and reproduce and build up as much as this, and you test each other. Okay, you could do right. Circuit symbols, right? Cover that up, right? So what was the circuit symbol for the LDR? And the other person goes, oh yeah, the LDR, the light dependent resistor. That was that circuit symbol. And you go, actually, no, that's not quite right because you've only got 1 hour, so you have to have 2 hours. Okay, so you're working together to build it up and use it as a form of dual coding. That gets the fact that you're talking to somebody else. So the fact of actually speaking to somebody else means that you're getting the sound part of your brain is clicked in. Doing this in colors is the visual part of your brain as well, and reproducing it is the putting it into the long-term recall. So you're hitting 3 ways in which you're actually going to memorize or put this into long-term memory, which is what revision is all about. And you're getting away from This is what the key thing is, reading through stuff like this and thinking that's actually going to revise, because that does not work. Okay, it's a complete waste of time. You read it, you'll forget about it because you've read it before and you can't remember it. Okay, so this will be done in conjunction with the CGP books, which you'll be getting next week. So if I just pause the recording, stop the recording.